What is up, everybody? Colin here from Keeping Up the Castle. Welcome back to the channel. We have another Disney rant coming for you guys. During all this mess going on in the world, I wanted to discuss what might change going forward for Walt Disney World parks. Not necessarily when it will open. I don't want to sit here and just kind of guess that. At this point, I think it's going to be quite a few more months. But that being said, what will need to happen for the parks to reopen? So obviously, the numbers will have to drop and some social distancing guidelines will have to be taken away. But that being said, once you're in the park, what might change going forward? So I wanted to talk about a few things. Thing I wanted to talk about was the touch points. So the actual fingerprint scanning touch points that you do with your Magic Band. They stopped using those the last few days or week or two the parks were open when the outbreak first kind of started. When I was actually there myself, sometimes they had us do it, sometimes they didn't. I don't know. When they were having us do it, they were wiping it down. But that being said, I think that's a waste of protective or cleaning equipment. I think they just need to take it out. And they mentioned one way they could resolve that is if each person behind each Magic Band point has a tablet, and it'll all be kind of through a photo. So when you get your ticket or your annual pass, they'll take a photo of you, and your photo might show up on this pad potentially, and that's how they'll verify if it's you. Rather than your fingerprint, which I think is great because I think far too many people touch those every day, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. And I think that is just kind of ridiculous. That being said, I wanted to move on to temperature checks. I think temperature checks are going to be a thing there for a very long time. Maybe not forever, but I'd probably say for a few months, if not a year or two, when you get to security, almost like bag check. So from a recent interview and an article on USA Today, Bob Iger actually had a few words to say with that. So in an interview with Barron's, the Disney chairman and former CEO said that for things to return to normal, some semblance of normal at least, people will have to feel safe. So some of that could come in the form of a vaccine, but in the absence of that, it could come from basically more scrutiny, more restrictions, he said. Just as now we do bag checks for everybody that goes into our parks, it could be that at some point we add a component of that, taking people's temperatures, for instance, as they actually enter the park. So I think that is a good step in the right direction for the parks to reopen, and I think that's necessary because you definitely don't want anybody with an active fever there. However, what about the whole incubation period? What do you guys think about that? Do you think the whole temperature thing, before we go further, and the touch point fingerprints could resolve a lot of spreading of the germs and issues and bacteria, the virus really? Or do you think that's not really going to help much because the fact that somebody could be asymptomatic and be spreading the virus without having a fever? I'm not sure how much it could really help, but I'm sure to some degree I'll take every 1%, 5% any way to be more preventative and get the parks open going forward. So that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that will help a lot? And that's just all at the entrance. So what about when we get inside of the actual parks? You've got ride queues that some are over 100 minutes long. You've got restaurants that are kind of overly packed. A lot of Disney restaurants are, unfortunately. They have to fit a lot of guests in there. They're very high capacity locations, a lot of them. Are we going to see capacities at each park, each dining location, each attraction all fall down? I know they're going to want to recoup a lot of their money, but safety first. The last thing they want, the biggest PR nightmare would be they end up reopening these parks and then they have a coronavirus outbreak. We do not want to deal with that. Disney does not want to deal with that. Nobody wants to deal with it any more than we already have to. I think that rides will be limited. I think there might even be spacing protocols inside of those queue attractions. Maybe not taped throughout the whole darn attraction line, but stay 6 feet away from the person in front of you. I know that'll take away a lot of capacity as is, so if they put something like that in place, yeah, the attractions will be a lot less occupied. The wait times will be down a lot, which I guess is a positive thing if you look at it that way. If you're willing to risk it and go to the parks once they do reopen. But but I think the overall parks themselves, the gates, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, will have a much reduced capacity, less cast members, obviously reduced capacity, much less guests. And then things like spacing, orients and lines and stuff, less crowding, less crowded restaurants. I think they'll take a few tables here and there at restaurants to maybe space it out because, I mean, there's some Disney restaurants where you're basically eating dinner with 2 or 3 other families. You're rubbing elbows and essentially breathing on each other. But I think that for the parks to reopen, I think just about everything I've named will need to be in effect. After listening to a lot more stuff from like Dr. Fauci saying that, the normal is going to be a very, very long time, so don't look forward to that necessarily, but look forward how you can put your best foot forward and take the cleanliest option, the best route. Put your best foot forward for the safety of yourself and everybody else. We will need to be able to function as a society again, but I think Disney is going to have a lot of restrictions in place, a lot more hand washing stations that we started to see pop up right before the closure, a lot more hand sanitization stations, wipes everywhere. I think more cast members will be wiping down lap bars, attractions, stuff like that, much more than they usually do, maybe every few rides or every hour. I'm not sure what they'll be able to handle with reduced cast members even. But what do you guys think? Do you think everything I've mentioned, temperature checks, not using the fingerprint scanners, line spacing, reduced capacity, are these things in your minds, are these things that will help the parks open up? Are these things that will help stop the spread? I really do think so, but Disney, even doing that every day, will have to risk the chance that an outbreak still could occur. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that's enough? Will you still travel to the parks if they're reopened? Let's say June, July, August, September. Would you feel comfortable with rules like that in effect going forward, or are you going to wait it out even longer? Because I don't really know what to think. I know I'm itching to get back to the park, so I probably will find my way there eventually. End of summer or fall if they potentially open. But let me know in the comments what you guys think, and thank you so much for listening to this Disney rant. I know I was rambling there, but I just wanted to get it all out. I think there's a lot of precautions they can take moving forward once they get to the point where they can reopen and take off social gathering rules per se. I want to get back in the parks. I'm sure you guys all do. Thanks again for watching another Disney rant from Keeping Up with the Castle. We'll see you guys next time.